All right, is everyone able to hear me? Megan, can you hear me? All right, well, I will go ahead and get this meeting started and bring this meeting to order of our Police Advisory Board for June 2022. Good day, everyone. Angie, if we could have roll call, please.
All right. Chair Dorsey.
Present.
Vice Chair Thornton.
Present.
Diane Foster. Here. Mike Meyer.
Here.
Marie Shaw is absent this evening. Mike Schultz.
Here.
Mike Smith.
Here.
Chris West.
Here.
And Lori Zwingley. Here. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if everyone has had a chance to look over last month's meeting minutes, are there any questions, additions?
That's nothing I would.
Yeah, I thought they were fine. Second.
All right, we have a motion to accept the meeting minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Okay, the motion carries, so we will get those approved and I will get those signed at the end of the adjournment of our session today. All right, board member announcements. We'll start with those that are calling in via Zoom.
That'll teach them.
Yes, let's go ahead and start with Mr. Schultz.
Hello. Obviously at work again, so if I have to leave, sorry. Nothing to report.
All righty. Megan?
It's 70 and sunny, nothing to report.
And Mike Myers. Mike Myers.
I'm driving, so I'm not on the camera, but nothing to report for me.
Okay. And I'll start to my right, Diane.
Nothing specific to report. Again, just good feedback for social media posts. They still seem like they're really receptive, and maybe you're going to talk about the fishing thing, but the picture of that looked really cool. Yeah, I just think that the social media and all the feedback and the comments and it just really seems like it has a following right now. So good job.
I second Diane, especially with what happened and was posted yesterday. Great job on the social media and using Officer Wolfer.
Mr. West.
And that's what I was going to comment on, that I'm glad that we have an SRO that young people can come to, and that we have the investigative staff in conjunction with Washington County and stuff to take a predator like that out and get them arrested. So that says a lot about our SRO, that he can be somebody that the kids can talk to. And then the fact I agree too with the social media post of it was important and timely, and I'm glad that was done.
Okay. Lori?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You have anything for us this evening?
I do. The Police Foundation Gala is next Friday night. We do have a few tickets left. Despite what some people may have seen recently, we got in and we did an audit of everything and we figured out there are a few tickets left. So if you want to come, there is still time. It's a great way to help us support the Sherwood Police Department. We also had the retirement party for Irma recently over at the PD, and we had a lot of people in attendance, and Irma was there and saying hello and being extremely friendly to everybody as her final round of, I mean, she's not going anywhere, but you know, she's not on the job anymore. She will be very well missed.
Lori? All right. I think you're the last one. Yes, yes.
I've got a couple things here. One, like everybody else, I continue to be impressed with the social media. I love getting that list of things that the police have done during the week. I'm just aghast at the incredible volume and variety. I think that's great. I missed Irma's goodbye party. I was quite upset. I was in day 4 of COVID quarantine. And my mom also decided she needed to go to the hospital that night, so it was busy. But that brings me up to a question probably for Mike Schultz, because my folks are over at the Ackerley, and it seems like virtually every time I'm there, you guys are there. I know for a fact that one day you guys were there 3 times. So are the senior centers kind of your busiest elements here in the Sherwood area, or it just seems to work out that way when I've been over there?
Well, I work for the city of Portland, but I think a lot of them are the same, where when a 911 call is generated, they will dispatch not only an ambulance to come and take care of the patient, but also the fire response as well. Normally the ambulances are spread out a little farther than the fire stations are. So they're able to get first responder help there with the fire service, and then the ambulance will come and finish up and take them to the hospital. And if they need more care than the ambulance can provide, they will, usually a firefighter can ride in with them. So we have a couple of those type of homes in my FMA over here in Northeast Portland, and we respond to them quite frequently. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Just incredibly impressed with the response times and the professionalism. So the last thing I had was, from last meeting, because we were running really short on time, the citizens' comment about the police advisory, not police advisory.
Sherwood Police Foundation.
Foundation, yeah. Did we get a chance to discuss that? We don't discuss that.
We don't discuss, we hear it and that's it.
What happens to those?
I mean, the board can always make an option at not to discuss it during public comment, but to have it be an agenda item. Foundation's separate from the police advisory board though, so it would be up to the board if they actually wanted to discuss that. But
okay.
Yeah, but it could definitely. Look, the practice is you don't respond during public comment and have a dialogue with the public comment or reading it, but the board can always address any issue. Yeah.
Cool. That's all I have.
I'll say I did a ride along, or I did an overnight with our fire department here in Sherwood, and the majority of our calls were to our senior centers. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I just want to speak to the police foundation, speaking about the Sherwood Police Foundation, the great work that they do in supporting our police officers and providing so many opportunities for us to get to know the officers, get to know what they do and who is a part of their team. In this case, the wonderful retirement party that was thrown. I thought that was great for the community to be able to come alongside the police officers and express their appreciation for all the work that she does, both for the city of Sherwood, but also for other cities as she's called upon. It's a great resource that we have access to those dogs, both here locally, but that we can share them with other departments that are in need and do phenomenal work. All right, we will now jump into the business portion of our agenda. We could start with the fact that we have some decisions to make, and we'll start with the Traffic Safety Committee liaison selections. We have 2 individuals currently in those roles. Diane, you being one of them. Would you like to remain?
I'd be happy to remain unless somebody else really wants to jump in, and then, I don't want to monopolize the position, but I'm happy to keep doing it if needed or wanted.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, I do know we will have an opening. So if someone is interested, so Lori is graciously offered to allow someone an opportunity to step in.
Very gracious.
But this is a wonderful opportunity for those of you who are newer to the board to be able to participate and to serve the community in that role of a liaison to the Traffic Safety Committee. Are there any volunteers? Or I will say the one position. Okay.
If there are any, I wouldn't mind a second term if there's if nobody else wants to jump in on that. I found it fascinating. So I won't wait a second to go around that.
Wonderful. Well, we have two individuals. Is there a motion for those two?
I move that we cast a unanimous ballot for these two volunteer warm bodies.
Yes.
I second Chris's motion,
Second, the warm body motion.
100%.
Okay, any discussion? No, all right, all in favor of Mr. Mike Smith and Diane Foster taking those roles as the liaison to the Traffic Safety Committee, say aye.
Aye. And thank you.
And all opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you
Anybody
both.
opposes gets elected.
There you go.
Thank you. Great. Now, chair and vice chair selections. I would love to stay on as chair. And Megan, what say you?
It takes me a minute to unmute. My apologies. I am more than happy and honored to remain as vice chair.
All right. Are there anyone
Unless
that-
nobody wants me to remain as vice chair, and then I'm fine being a regular board member with no vice in front of her name. But I'm fine doing it. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Well, is there anyone that would like to
Nominate
for-
anybody else?
Nominate anybody else? Yes, that it is.
For either position,
nomination.
right?
Yes, correct.
I move that the nominations be closed. I know. No, I've been there, done that. But I didn't get a t-shirt.
Is that why you stepped? Oh, come on.
I would
see.
take vice chair again if you really wanted some. I would throw my hat into the ring. I don't want to be chair though.
You don't, okay.
I don't like leading. Happy to be second.
Any
But I'm also happy not.
nominees for chair or vice chair? Mike, you still with us? Mike Meyer?
I'm here. I have no nominees.
All right. Okay. So for the motion for, I guess, the decision for the vice chair position, and then we can have a motion for my position. We'll start with vice chair. So
I think you're in.
Yeah, you're.
We can start with you.
You're it.
So you're in.
Okay. So is there a motion for me to continue in my role as?
Yeah, do separate.
So moved.
And seconded.
And seconded. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm honored.
Wait, Brian, all those in favor of Brian Dorsey being chair another year, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
Yee.
now you're done, Brian.
Now you're in it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And so for vice chair, we have two individuals interested. So we should have a vote for each. Is that correct?
Hasn't happened before, so. Well, you have two people. that
Lori,
do their
if you
names.
want it, take it. I'm happy to serve, but I'm not, I don't need it. If you want it, go for it. I don't care.
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
So if Megan's
Kinda
backing
goes
out, you
in.
just need a nominee for Lori then.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor of Lori Zwingli taking on the role of vice chair of the Troy Police Advisory Board, say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed, same sign. All right, the motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you, Megan, for your service. And of course, I know, you always have a lot to offer in any respect. So I know you'll still be helping and supporting any way you can. So thank you for everything.
Oh, of course.
Yes, you're awesome.
But we did hear your sigh of relief, Megan.
I thought I heard a
Through the mute.
champagne bottle poured back there.
No bubbles for me.
In a year or 2 years or however long, boy, it goes by fast. So we'll be here again discussing it before you know it.
It really does.
Hey, I'm just happy I didn't have a traffic safety additional meeting added to my calendar. So,
All right. SSD safety and security concerns is our next point of business. Who are we going to have speak to that? That's for
That would be Chief.
Chief. Are you prepared, Chief, to speak to the SSD safety and security concerns with us?
Well, I didn't put it on the agenda, but I will talk about it.
How did it get put on the agenda then? Oh.
Obviously, it's been a hot topic as of late, and nothing that is new to us as a nation or even, Sherwood in general. And so I know in just the last month, we've had, some threats here locally that have raised concerns about what we are doing specifically as a law enforcement agency. And I think, and hopefully you're seeing it, and I know you've commented on the SRO and his engagement and his involvement, and that speaks volumes to really his engagement and how in tune he is as to what's going on in the schools. Granted, we have 5,500 students, maybe more, within the school district. So his focus is at the high school. And when any of these kind of threats, whether they're email or written or phone calls or Snapchat or any social media platform, we take them all very seriously. So there is some processes that we go through, not only with the school district, but just with us and with the PD. We'll try and run down every lead. We'll try and figure out the legitimacy of this. And this is where it's hard, is because there's no guarantee as to how legit a threat really is. And so we take it as 100% legitimate until we determine otherwise. And one of the concerns that always comes up is, what are we doing to protect the students? And I think the school district and the police department have a great relationship, and we have worked together for years in trying to identify areas that we can, and I use the word harden, the schools, with making sure doors are locked and vestibules and one-way entries, and really minimizing the access within the schools. As you know, there's just no guarantee, and we're always in tune and always looking for ways to improve. So that being said, there has been a lot of talk about additional resources, additional SROs, and what that means and the impact that can have in our community. Of course, an additional SRO is fantastic because it's just one more dedicated person within the school district. But I will also tell you that all of the personnel within the PD are very in tune to what is happening, and we show up and we do the extra patrols, and we're looking for anything that is suspicious or a hot topic or hot button that is occurring during a school day or the week. And I wish I had the magic wand. And so, this conversation is very relevant right now. And moving forward, what can we do? What can we do not only as a police department, but as a community? And as a police advisory board, you're probably wondering, how can you engage and what can you do to support the community? And I think really part of that comes down to us just having conversations and being engaged with what we're doing and where we're going. What I will tell you is myself and Kevin Barton, the DA, are working with Courtney Neron, our representative in our area, on some new legislation to give us some teeth when threats come up. So I'm going to use the Middleton example. That was a lot of email generated threats, and it really didn't have a specific crime attached to it. So you may or may not have heard, but we ended up charging him with disorderly conduct. It's kind of like the catch-all. When we can't quite figure out what we can charge him with, there's always a nexus with disorderly conduct. And so that's where that went with him. We need something with a little bit more bite when people are saying these things or potentially acting out or making steps towards an act like this that he was talking about. And so hopefully in 2023, and I know that doesn't sound favorable because that's another 6 months out, but as legislation opens back up, that we'll be able to talk about and maybe get some of those back on the books to address some of these things. school starts in September, and I know that parents in the community are going to be a little bit on edge as to what we're going to do. And I'm open for that discussion. And I think this is probably maybe why it's on the table as to, what can we do as a community? What can we do partnering with the school district and obviously the PD to navigate some of these challenges. And 40 more cops would be fantastic, but that's not always the answer. That's not going to be a guarantee. And so I'm always open for suggestions and ideas, and maybe in the next, I don't know, whatever time we have, we can have some open dialogue as to what you're hearing, and maybe some of the things that we can address out there right now. And this is really weird because you guys look so far away. I'm sorry, I've never been on the end of this Zoom. So I don't even know. I can't even see who's on the other end of the table.
That's why I sit down.
A couple questions to you, Ty. So one of the issues that happened, as we know in Texas, there was some confusion about who was in charge, but also there was the role that the parents played when they came onto the scene and really wanted to help the police in taking care of the situation. For the city of Sherwood, we have an SRO at the high school. What is sort of the chain of command? If there's something going on, is the SRO sort of the first line of defense, and then there needs to be further links in that chain, or how would that play out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things I won't do is talk about our tactical response to this responses to these things. But I will tell you this, that we will respond immediately to threats, whoever it is, and whatever the number of resources that are available at the time. As far as the chain of command, it typically is the highest ranking person that is on at the time. So it could be just the SRO. It could be the officer in charge. It could be a supervisor, a sergeant. It could be myself. And that can change, and that can be handed off during an incident, depending on how that is kind of unfolding at the time. Those are always going to be challenges. You've seen, just even here locally with active shooters, Clackamas Town Center, the Tualatin shooting here, 10, 12 years ago, the high school shooting at Reynolds. It is a chaotic scene because all first responders come. And I think that we do a really good job in Washington County, and probably even in the Northwest, about how we respond to these kind of things. I will assure you that there is no hesitation or reservation about going into a school. That is how we've trained. It's kind of evolved over the years. And I think that's what I will tell you probably is most important, is that we continue to change our tactics and how we respond to these things to be the most effective. Partnering with TVFNR or even Portland Fire, or having that attachment with medics, with law enforcement, has been critical in some of these incidents. So I guess to answer your question is, it can change. That incident in and of itself, I haven't learned enough about it. I know there's some criticism about how that unfolded and whether or not they should have gone in, or the delay that came in play. But I just know that here in Sherwood, in Washington County, that their first responders will always go in to engage and to deal with whatever threats there at the moment. And then as it unfolds, obviously all the chain of command is just going to be who's responding and who can take care of what, because you stand up a whole incident command center, and there's just a lot of logistics that we would spend. Mike Schultz could probably talk to you about incident command on the fire side, and we could talk days about how you try to make that unfold in an incident like this. But I don't know if that's a really good answer, but I can just tell you it's always evolving.
Then for the community members, what is the advice you would give them in a situation like that? Of course, everybody wants to come and sort of make sure that their child is okay. But anything you can say as far as communication to them? Would you be using Facebook?
So, yes, social media, as you know, always gets out ahead of us. And our number one always will be first priority is going to be the safety of the community. So you may not see us on social media giving a whole lot of information out immediately. We will. We do have a lot of contingency plans, reunification plans in place for parents and kids so that they go to a specific location because, well, for example, now the middle school, can you imagine 1,500 parents trying to get to their kids because they don't drive? But the high school is different. You have a lot of students that can drive, that can get to vehicles, that can probably leave the campus. And I guess to answer your question is we're hoping that some of our partnership and our messaging that we can get out there about where to go, when to go, how to reunify with their kids if necessary is going to be part of our plan and maybe better messaging in the future. But I know you saw that in Texas where parents were showing up at the schools and going into the schools. And you also know the resources that we have in Sherwood. So would we be able to stop them? Probably not. Would it be problematic? Absolutely. But our focus again will be always just to kind of respond to the school I mean, we focus a lot on the schools, but we also know that these are filtering out as they have over the last several years into shopping malls, into theaters, into all sorts of different arenas where there's just a mass of people. So we're going to run into those same kind of problems either in the schools or in a highly dense populated, event.
All right. If I may suggest, I think it'd be great, especially at the beginning of the school year, to have like a little reminder, sort of like your 9 p.m. reminder to say, hey, if you've got a child in the public school system or even at the charter school or private school, make sure you set up a meeting place in the case of an emergency, you know what I mean, to get that message out there. A lot of parents don't have that. I'm speaking for myself maybe in that regard, but just to know, okay, that's actually a good idea, a good takeaway is to establish that with your child, under the guise of what's allowed within the school code.
That's a great suggestion because again, and I'm going to lean a little bit on Mike Schultz again, is that what happens is these roads get blocked and then the emergency personnel that need to get there can't, because you have cars all over the place and you have clogged arteries and congestion through the roadways, and you need emergency personnel, fire trucks to get somewhere, and it can't happen. I get it. I have kids. I mean, I know that every fiber in my being would want to be to get there and to ensure the safety of my children. But I also, we try to implore the fact that we need to be able to get there as first responders to ensure that we can, give the necessary first aid and get people out and evacuate as we can. But a fire truck, and I don't know how wide they are, Mike, but I mean, a fire truck can't get down a roadway if cars are stopped on both sides and trying to get to a school or to a shopping mall.
Yeah, they'll take up a whole lane, as you can imagine. I mean, they're almost as wide as the road. They're a little over 8 feet. So I want to say 8 feet 6 inches or something wide. And, from the fire side, one of our biggest concerns is once we get there and we start establishing patients and how many patients we have is having a way to get ambulances in and out. So again, it's not just the fire engines, it's not just the police officers, it's the ambulances. I mean, there is a lot of emergency personnel that need to get to those scenes to be able to work. And to kind of touch on what you were saying earlier, not to hijack what you were saying, but on any scene, let alone a active shooter or a school shooting or something like that, scene security for the people that are working there is that's a must for us. So as we're working a scene, if we have people that are trying to get involved, they may be trying to help. We understand there's a lot of emotions running high there, but excuse me, if we have to deal with parents and if we have to deal with other people that are on the scene, we're not able to do our jobs. And I imagine it's the same way for the police officers. If they're worried about the parents, they're not going to be able to go in and do what they need to do to secure the scene. So, yeah, I mean, I would kind of second what Brian said. If we could put out something possibly that, you know, could just set some of those reminders out there. I know when it hits the fan, you know, it's hard to remember all that stuff, but if we start pushing it out early before it happens, maybe it'll be in their mind when it does happen.
So as we're talking about this, I'm thinking as we learn a little bit more about the Texas incident and others, maybe during the August or maybe even later in the summer, working with the new acting superintendent and maybe putting together a one-pager or something that will at least set some parents at ease about, one, that the PD has an action plan, and here's what parents should be focused on and stuff like that. I think that would go a long way, and it could maybe be part of the handbook, but I think we can help with that and help disseminate it to the people that need to see it.
Yeah.
I 100% agree, Chris, and Ty, that's what I was basically asking you is, what can we say is our quote plan without divulging tactical, strategic steps that would actually compromise any efforts that the PD does in a situation like that. But I think whatever information we can provide is better than being tight-lipped.
Yeah, and I am totally up for collaborating on that and figuring out how we message that, what that looks like in conjunction with, obviously, I think it's important not to forget, and Mike hit it on the head, is how important, you know, just there's going to be a lot of personnel that will be responding to these scenes and the importance of their access and the security of the scene. And that's why we do what we do in some ways, also without divulging, you know, tactically what we do and why we do it. So Chris, I think that was you that I like that. I am actually meeting with the new superintendent next week. So it's probably great timing to have that conversation and kind of what the next school year is going to look like and maybe some of the challenges that we're facing. And obviously this is on the forefront of my mind. I have been contacted quite a bit about what we are doing from the public. So I will definitely have that conversation and see what kind of message we can do or we can put together. And then obviously sending it through the police advisory board would be fantastic if you can message it out as well.
Well, and I think having, whether it's in August or September, having the school district send it out, you know, they can be a vessel for communication as well, even if it's we're partnering, we defer, blah, blah, blah. That helps because it says it's on the forefront of our minds. We have a plan. As a parent, I don't even care what the plan is. I want to know that you have one and that you're prepared, period. I think the problem with Uvalde is that a lot of parents probably didn't feel there was a plan, or if there was, it got miscommunicated or mishandled. And thank God we don't have that. Haven't had that yet in Sherwood, but I think the more we put it out there that it's on the forefront of our minds and hearts, and preparing, you know, you always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's the best we can do, but I think we have to make sure all parents and all citizens see that the police are doing that, the school is working with the police in that, and it's the best we can do, and pray that it never happens.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mike Schultz, for your input from the perspective of the fire department. It's really nice to have that perspective on board for the board. All right. With that all, Chief, we're just gonna move on to our next topic.
That is it for me, unless there's anything that you had, any questions or concerns or ideas. Like I said, I'm willing to obviously have that open dialogue with it.
Well, hearing no other questions or responses, we'll go ahead and move on to our item number 6, which is a traffic safety update. I like how it says chair and PSC liaison.
Yeah, I should remove that.
Well.
No, I was absent for the last meeting. I was traveling for work. So I still need to review the film, the footage. Do you have updates, Lori, or?
Nope. I'm sorry, I did not look at that. I did not prepare that for this evening, what I remember. Because I rely on her notes because she does a very good job of taking these notes.
She does
She is.
a very good job.
What I do remember of the meeting is that the studies of Edie had come back, and it looks like there is going to be a request for a reduction of the speed zone for 5 miles an hour, instead of being 40 down to 35. Of course, there are no guarantees that we're going to get it.
Right.
But the request is going in. It turned out that the speed study along the road by the high school. Elbert, thank you. I don't travel that road very often. There were also some findings there that were a little bit surprising. I don't want to quote them though, because I don't have the statistics in front of me. And we're still moving forward with all the information along Sunset to find out what needs to be done there. There's apparently some concern about some vehicles who do go by much faster than they should. At least that much is standing out. And I'm really sorry that I didn't look any further at the details.
No, that's great, because, and I think on the Sunset project, if they are going to sort of reevaluate Sunset also with the high school going in, because traffic is just going back and forth along Sunset. And there were some concerns about the crosswalk that we've reviewed there for a number of months. And so we're going to extend the review of Sunset though, all the way almost the length of Sunset as far as the study goes, to really take into account the traffic, at least down to maybe Maine, maybe not over the hill. I can't remember what that was.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but it definitely beyond just, initially they were going to just study the traffic around sort of the crosswalk, but then they decided it really makes sense to study sort of the traffic all the way down Sunset, just because of how our travel patterns have changed since the high school has gone in. And since now that's the middle school, right? Because while it's not high schoolers driving over there, it definitely is families and parents driving over there. So that definitely is something that's coming up.
Yeah. I also suspect Sunset's getting used right now as a pass-through, as people want to avoid 12th and Sherwood with the construction. They're cutting down Oregon Street and coming.
Right, yeah, that could be true.
Yeah.
And then if you're interested, or for whoever is interested, as a part of the agenda from last month, I do know that they released the findings in a report, that Bob released the findings of the report for Edie and for Elbert, and that really, really good and detailed information in there about the speeds and in which sections they were speeding the most and what the findings were. So if you're interested
Hours
in
of the
seeing
day.
yes,
Yeah,
hours of the
it's very well
day
broken down.
and all of that data. I mean, it's really no surprise that on Edie, the part of the road that dips is the fastest. So yeah, if you're interested or would like to look before, you jump in next. Bob's
Homework, you didn't remember there was homework. Would that be available on any particular website or?
So the city website, where you go and find the meeting minutes or the agendas for every board are posted on there.
Perfect.
So you would just look under the traffic safety committee.
Yeah, and you could just look in the attachments section. That's where you're gonna find the meeting packets too. So if I haven't got the full meeting minutes posted yet, you could check the meeting packet.
Right.
Or just let me know and I can forward it to you too.
Because the packet was available before the meeting started, and so those reports were as a part of the meeting packet. So those will definitely
the
Also
illness.
just June's.
Yeah, it is a very interesting study, very in-depth, he said.
Yeah, you wouldn't think people are going too fast down that road because you've got the school, the neighborhood, entries are right there. So
Yeah, but you also have
ingress,
teenage
egress.
drivers.
Yeah, and it is a straightaway. Oh,
So one thing that Tina and I have been noticing the last couple months is that people don't seem to understand that they're supposed to stop at stop signs. It's getting really, really bad. And I don't have any specifics, Chief, but maybe a little bit of patrol work. But I'm appalled at how bad it has become. And there's some opportunities there for some education and behavioral change, I think.
But no certain areas that you've seen in particular?
I do avoid Sunset. I go down or avoid 99 and the upper part of Sunset. I'll go through Old Town to get, and Tina works across from Home Depot and she crosses by the new lineman training center and goes by Walmart to come home instead of going down 99 and Sunset because of the traffic.
I know Southwest Woodhaven Drive and Southwest Stellar Drive routinely have people that don't even see the stop sign going through it, both directions, towards SMS and away from SMS. Also Dewey, Meineke, that whole area, I can't tell you how many people I see that either don't see the stop sign or I think view it as a suggestion of perhaps you want to pay attention at this intersection or this corner, but not actually stopping. My child said again this week he was almost hit at Pinehurst and Sunset when he was coming home from Middleton. I think if there's an intersection in Sherwood, it needs reinforcement, and we just don't, unfortunately, have enough traffic cops to be at every intersection 24/7. But I think
I do know that that's
figure out, rotate it.
I do know that that's one that they have taken a look at, that Pinehurst and Sunset, but it is a place where they continue to unfortunately run. We live right back there, so. And I've seen patrol there, and all is well when patrol is there, but it is pretty scary because of the park being there, because it's generally kids and families crossing the street.
And Timbrel and Old 99W coming from Middleton, especially during, drop off and pickup hours.
Which that
Woodhaven, where it cross Sunset.
That one at Timbrel, we are reviewing in our data for this. So we've had complaints about that, and we're conducting some PED studies there. So that one is actually on our list.
My experience mostly has been in Old Town, and the Main and Sunset doesn't seem to be a problem like it used to be. Everybody's stopping because I think it's busy enough now, but in Old Town, and it just boggles my mind.
that four-way stop on the corner by the veteran.
I go either way, whether I go railroad or first or whatever, it's just like, there's a stop sign there. So, and the other spot is on Sherwood Boulevard, just before you get to the middle school, where there's that funky intersection where you either head towards the high school or you're coming into Old Town.
Yeah, Third and Pine.
Yeah. And I guess the thought I had in mentioning it, Chief, and if there is a way to do some increased enforcement, and then if it's successful, doing your weekly summary with mentioning that may help change some behavior. I sure hope that all the DUIs that you've been reporting will help change some behavior too.
You think those people are reading the blogs?
Probably not.
There was hope that with the red light cameras and the speed enforcement that it would change behavior, but we've had those in place for 12 years and it hasn't changed. So,
The city budget.
Chris, I think that, actually that's a great idea. I think maybe, as you're well aware of, we get taxed with a lot, and Diane and Lori, actually, you, Chris and Mike can attest to this, just the overwhelming concern and complaints of speed, distracted driving, and obviously just not stopping for stop signs, pedestrian crossings. They're all on our radar, and it's a matter of being able to put time and resources into them. But I do like that idea of us posting, the results of these things and where we've been, because we haven't done that yet. So I think that might be a new little twist that we can add to it, just to highlight that, hey, we spent, 8 hours at 3rd and Pine and wrote 20 tickets for running stop signs and distracted driving. And because we do all these intersections and I wrote them all down. I know our traffic guys and our patrol officers have sat down there when they can, and it's not about, it's more about just the time and the availability, because you're right. You can sit down there for 30 minutes and probably see 2, 3, 4, 5 violations without working too hard. And I put my hand up because you guys had brought up the traffic study on Elwart and Edie, and I wanted to give the board an update on the fatality investigation. I literally got an email today from the DA, so it's probably, this has been long, and there's just been so many components to this investigation that it's stretched out over months, but it sounds like maybe by the end of the next week, something will be released on that investigation. I get inquiries quite a bit about where that's at and what's going on, and obviously it's out of our hands as far as the PD, and the DA has been really good about trying to keep us up to date, obviously engaged with the families as to where things are at, but he let me know today that they should have some direction by the end of next week. So if you hear people inquiring, you can pass that on at that point, or at this point, I guess. And I'll put my hand back down. It took me forever to figure out how to put it up.
No, I can't see it either.
All right.
Yeah, with respect to the Traffic Safety Committee, I know that Bob Galati, am I saying that correct, has announced his retirement. Has that happened in
October, around October, I think.
There's some time. Okay.
He's got a long list of things to do, yeah.
I'm
He's trying to wrap up.
Yes.
That was my question too, Mike.
Great.
That was actually on my council updates.
Hey, counselor news, and you were
I have no news.
short last time.
There's nothing happening in the city, no news. Well, we just wrapped up our budget season with our budget committee. We had 3 full meetings of that, very robust conversations, so that the budget committee approved the budget and now goes to city council for, even though city council is part of the budget committee, gets approved by the budget committee and then goes to city council for final approval. The city council could make any tweaks if they wanted to at that point, but typically they don't, because we've all been part of the budget committee. Our city attorney is leaving us. I'm so sad. Josh has been a great, I think, for at least 7, 8 years now.
Oh, that long.
Yeah, which is,
I remember when he came on.
yeah, which is a long time for a city attorney to stay, but he's getting poached by a firm, but we wish him best of luck. He'll do great there.
Where's he going?
BEH, Barry Ellsner, the firm we used prior to hiring Josh. So yeah. Our planning director, Julia Hyduke, she left us as well. And she's been with the city, gosh, do you know how long she's with us?
I want to say it was over 20 years.
Yeah, over 20 years.
Wow.
But, we all want our staff to grow, right? And her next ambition was to be a city manager. So she actually went to Staten, where Keith Campbell came from, and took over the city manager position there. So happy for her there. So we'll be recruiting for that position, or we'll be recruiting for the city attorney position. I think that the consensus is we will still want to have an in-house city attorney. So we'll do that. Next Tuesday, it's going to be a tough vote, but the city council gets to vote on the reappointments of Brian, Chris, and Mike Smith. So hold your breath. Don't know for sure that, it gets a.
I'm gonna just.
What day is
May not
that?
be Tuesday, Tuesday night.
We'll be there in protest.
Ticket signs outside.
We'll have our masks on. We'll know who we are.
And then
Probably
just
figured
an update, one of city council's goals now for the past 4 years has been economic development, just trying to infuse some more economic development to the community, get our tax base, trying to get that balanced out because we've been such high residential for so long. The difference between us and other communities is like, if you compare us to like Wilsonville or Tualatin, is they have a lot more business than we do, so they get a lot more revenue into their city coffers. So if you notice down on Tualatin, Sherwood near 124th, all that, those big buildings, those are almost all leased out with some big companies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that'll be Sherwood. That's Sherwood.
That's Sherwood,
It's
okay.
on this side of one, yeah. So that'll help with our businesses, I think, some high tech type stuff. And so not only revenue for the city of Sherwood, but good paying jobs for residents of Sherwood. Hopefully some will get there, the like 90+% of our residents who work leave Sherwood to go to work,
Bedroom community.
Yeah, the bedroom community. So it'd be nice to have opportunities for people to just drive right there to go to work. So
So did I see we're recruiting for economic development again this afternoon on a post?
recruiting.
Oh, for the community development position
Yeah.
for Julia.
Oh, that's Julia.
Oh, is that
Community
Julie's?
development, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Planning director.
I was
Yes,
wondering.
Community development director, yeah.
Okay, because I saw that post and I knew about Julia, but I was thinking, did we lose our economic
Oh, no,
development?
not Bruce yet.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned
I
about.
hope not. He's
Yeah.
like the Energizer Bunny, but
Yes.
we will take him for as long as we can keep him.
Okay, all right.
Is,
Oh, yeah.
is Bob's position a recruitable one, or is that just a promotion from within his replacement?
I mean, I think it'll be open, and if there's people within that can apply, yeah, we will open it up for all applicants, is my understanding.
Until we find another city attorney, do we use a firm and just sort of?
Yeah, so in fact, like Josh is going out, he already had a pre-planned vacation the end of this month, and he'll be gone for like 2.5 weeks, so we always have one on standby that will attend meetings, and this one is I think he worked for Washington County as their in-house for a while. He's retired now. So, and he's sort of doing this on retirement, is subbing in for other city attorneys. So, and then once Josh is actually gone, whether we keep him or we go to a firm, but yeah, we'll always have to have an
I know
attorney on.
McMinnville's recruiting for a city attorney because their city attorney just left and went to Wilson.
Yes. Tualatin's recruiting for city attorney, McMinnville's recruiting for city attorney. Yeah, so we will be using a recruiting firm to help us, whereas Tualatin and McMinnville didn't at first, and now they're both gonna start using a recruiting firm, because I guess
Shortage is real.
yeah, so anyways, any other questions for me?
Nope.
Any questions up there in Cyberland?
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Counselor, for that update and that news. All right, staff reports. Chief, back to you.
Okay, I think you've touched on quite a bit of it between everybody. We had a great event with Fish with a Cop, even though it rained sideways. Ended up, I believe, with 17 agencies that showed up. So it was a great event, something that we want to continue to do. We'd rather do it more than once a year. We have a great space for it. If you remember back in 18 or 19, I don't remember. It was held at Cabela's because Cabela's was the sponsor, and this is where it started. Well, as you're probably well aware of, Paul Matson, who was the marketing director of that, is now our social media guy, and he wanted to continue running with Fishing with a Cop. So he knew how to make it all happen, and it turned out great. And we're excited to continue with that. Obviously, Irma's retirement was, in my mind, a big hit. Lots of people showed up and recognized all the great work that she did, and Corey as well, and just the impact that she had on the community, and even Washington County as a whole was pretty awesome. So we're wishing her the best. And I can't remember because they're all kind of blurring together, but we're fully staffed. And I know I use this term fully staffed, but not fully functional, but we really are. We have all the vacancies filled except for the captain spot, which hopefully July 19th, that person will come on. We'll know here in the next week, as long as everything shakes out on the background and those things. But on the 21st at City Council, we'll introduce our last two officers. And so you can either tune in or show up to hear what they have to say. And I know Councilor Young just talked about the budget committee and the budget process. And with that, what that means for the police department, so you're up to speed on that, is that right now, Bill Collins is our halftime CSO and halftime evidence tech. We're going to make those two full-time positions. So we'll have a full-time evidence tech and a full-time CSO, which will help in a variety of ways augment and support patrol. That won't go into effect until January, because one of the things that we've been talking about and with this board is that we know we have some upcoming retirements. So we're going to try and hire a couple more here in the next few months so that we can get them at least maybe through training in FTEP before we know we have some pending retirements in the early part of 2023. So that we're always behind the curve when people are leaving. And the fact that we know we have 4 pending retirements in the next year, we're trying to get ahead of it a little bit. So that is part of our budget and what it looks like. So thankful that we're able to move forward on some of that. But that being said, obviously, there's going to be, and I look at this board as having a lot of robust discussion about what our staffing needs need to be moving forward in the next 3 to 5 years. That's kind of the window I'm looking at, is, a lot of talk about SROs, patrol detectives, where we think we need it, and what kind of information I can give you to help you make better decisions as you go out and engage in the community, and what kind of support we're going to need for that. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, that's going to be in the coming months as we kind of set some of those agendas. But in the back of your minds, if you think about that, let me know. And if you have questions or you want information, feel free to email me, text me, whatever you need to so that I can get you that kind of information as we move forward. Obviously, the Boots and Bling is next week. Oh, is somebody else going to? Councilor Young, you didn't talk about that, did you?
Lori did a little bit.
Okay, I don't want to take the thunder away, but that's next week. It's going to be upon us, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I know I already talked about it, but I'm meeting again with the new superintendent, Dr. Lyon, I believe is his name. Comes with a lot of experience, so I'm excited to kind of hear what his vision and direction is with the school district, and obviously, most importantly, the partnership with the police department and us moving forward with the community. So I think aside from that, that is all I have. I see hands.
It's Chris. And
Okay.
what do you do about replacing Irma?
That was my question. Thank you.
So all I'm going to
Super
say
secret.
is stay tuned.
There's maybe gonna be a new puppy.
Yeah.
I tell you that. I say that because there's all sorts of things already set in motion. So if I give any of it away, people will be mad at me. So just stay tuned.
All right.
You need to bring all the new recruits to one of our meetings, so we'll look forward to
Yeah, so you met two of them, and the other two will be there. Probably I'll try and get them there in the next either probably the August or maybe the next. Well, I don't know. I'll get them there.
All right, and I was speaking of Irma's replacement as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Whether they're human or
Yeah, the heck with the officers.
We want something we can pet.
Hey, Chief, Mike, go ahead.
I do have a question, Chief. I raised this only because Chris asked me to, but we just want to make sure it doesn't fall completely off of your docket. The Citizens Academy sometime in the future.
Yes, that has been asked. And so I think it's like, for me, I think a fall event is going to be good. I mean, we're just trying to get our feet underneath us with personnel and just all the changes there. I shouldn't say changes, just trying to get where we need to. So I'm looking at a fall event for that.
Perfect.
Obviously, I'm hoping, how many have been to it in the room there? Oh, so really just one? I only see, is it just one hand?
Just Lori.
just
yeah.
me, I guess.
Okay, all right. So
I've been to the FBI one, but not sure what. So.
okay, so this is a great question. So would you all be interested in attending that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, me
Okay.
too.
Okay,
Probably.
perfect. All right. So I will get that, I'll get that moving forward and try and solidify a date, and so that we can get that out there and drum up some interest.
Hey, Chief, you were talking about, this board being helpful in talking about staffing and stuff. And with so many new members, I was wondering if it might be helpful if you had access to, but I don't know if you do or not. Remember all the work that the board did a couple years ago, and they went out and polled the community and what they'd like to see as far as staffing? Do we still have those results somewhere?
This is where I'm going to kick the bucket to Angie. Do we have any of that anywhere?
Oh, probably. I save everything.
I mean, it's easily accessible without having to spend too much time digging it up. It might be helpful for the new board members to see what the work that the prior board had done, just to kind of see what those results look like. It'd be interesting to see if we do something like that again, what the results comparable are.
No, that's a great idea. I think if we can dig that up and just kind of have an overlay of where we've been and if that aligns with where we want to go. Yeah, great
That
suggestion.
was our last in person with the community at Cannery Square in August of 2019. I remember handing out those surveys. So I know we had paper surveys plus Facebook.
Yeah, when they
that was
danced.
virtual.
I'm
too.
looking through my email now for you.
Yes.
And I think
So, all right, Angie said she'll look those up and get them out if she can easily find them. They're probably attached to minutes or something somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, that's my last question.
All right. Those are all the questions it looks like we have for you, Chief. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. And looking forward to that captain coming on board. If all goes well, it's going to be a great asset to the force for sure. So exciting. Citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments?
We don't have any tonight.
Wonderful. Citizens are appeased. Okay. Well, that is all I have on the agenda, all I'm showing on the agenda. Are there any other comments from the board or questions from the board?
I would make a comment about the Citizens Academy. When that comes around again, if you have the opportunity to take part in that, I couldn't encourage you anymore. I mean, it was a phenomenal experience. It was nowhere near what it would be like to be an actual police officer, but just being in the scenarios, even though you knew that they weren't real, was very eye-opening. I mean, it really gave you a much better sense than just talking, just conversations here can do about what it must be like to be an officer, just how on edge or how alert they have to be all the time, every shift, you know, to be aware of what might come at them and try to think not just 2 steps ahead, but like 5, 10 steps ahead of, well, this person's doing that and what do I need to be prepared for? Do I need to call for backup now? And is this guy going to be a problem? Is this not going to be a problem? Is it too dark for me to see what's going on? It was just a wide range of things that I never thought about before. And so going through this academy was really eye-opening. And I strongly suggest taking part of it if you get the opportunity.
What was your favorite activity of the ones that scenarios or?
Didn't you get to tase people?
I didn't actually get to please people, but just, we had to do a fake stop, a traffic stop outside in the front of the department. And just having to deal with this person who was being obstinate and belligerent and didn't want to follow what I was trying to tell her to do. And being so tied in with what I was trying to do with this person that I failed to notice the gun that was sitting in the back of the car until I was turning around and walking away from the car. And then I spotted it out of the corner of my eye and thought, holy crap, you've just got to be aware of absolutely everything. And then we did some interactive scenarios. We were in a room and they played the video and it was interactive and just trying to stay on top of everything there and to try to see, you know, how sneaky people can be with their firearms and where the firearms could be and how quickly things move and things change. It was, and then I got paired up with John Shields. Me, John Shields, and I was supposed to be, it was a scenario in the park at night and trying to get that man to do what I wanted him to do. And he was either drunk or had a mental health problem, but he was not cooperative and I had to call for backup and that was Corey. And it was just, it was fun, it was humorous, but yet it was very serious at the same time. Yeah. And you could just feel, I now understand why things happen the way they do in a very small respect. So it was good. It was a good thing to go through.
Chief, you're gonna need to change up some of your scenarios now. Now we're ready for them.
Oh, I'm gonna be looking for the gun in the backseat. Already made mental note.
We have lots of scenarios. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again for being here and taking time to help to build up both the police department, but our community, and to share our insights as you would. And I appreciate everyone's openness and willingness to ask questions and to share. That's what makes this whole board work and function as well as it does. So do I hear a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion seconded. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Bye.
All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, wait, I don't vote.
Bye.
You wanna keep going?
Cruising Sherwood Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the family.
Night.
Saw a post about Scott